Huria Kristen Indonesia is a Lutheran church denomination in Indonesia headquartered on Melanthon Siregar Street, number 111, Pematang Siantar, North Sumatra, which was established on the 1st of May 1927 in Pantoan, North Sumatra, and at that time was still called Huria Christian Bataks, HCHB, which was also inseparable from the fruit of the RMG evangelistic mission. One of the missions of the RMG was to prepare evangelists from indigenous people through the establishment of a teachers' school in Pansur, Napitu. Graduates of this school were made into gospel teachers and school teachers, of which one of the natives who attended the school was Frederick Panggabean, born on 24 December 1886 in Lumban Siagian village, Tarutung North, Tapanuli. Frederick Panggabean became a member of the RMG congregation in Pematang Siantar, Church Street today, and he and several other families of RMG congregation members lived in the village of Pantoan, about 4 kilometers from the Church Street. Considering the difficulty of reaching the church in Pematang Siantar by foot, Frederick Sutan Malu Panggabean, who was a graduate of the Sipaholan Seminary Teachers' School in 1909, proposed that a new congregation be established in Pantoan. This proposal was rejected by Reverend R. Schneider, RMG missionary at the Pematang Siantar Church, in line with the birth of the National Awakening Day through the establishment of Budi Utomo on the 20th of May, 1908, and driven by the desire for church independence from RMG, as well as the refusal to establish a new congregation in Pantoan by RMG missionaries in Pematang Siantar, was one of the reasons for establishing a new church in Pantoan, which was later called Huria Christian Batak, is HCHB. Actually, since 1927, Frederick Sutan Malu Panggabean has started to conduct Sunday services at his home in the Pantoan area of Pematang Siantar. However, it was only on the 1st of May, 1927, that an official notification letter was made to the government. The main reason for establishing this church, in addition to the reasons mentioned above, stated by Frederick Sutan Malu Panggabean when he was questioned by Simalungun government officials, was James chapter 1, verse 22. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, or else ye deceive yourselves. From this reasoning, it is clear that the establishment of the Huria Christian Batak Church was to organize evangelism, marturia, fellowship, koinonia, and loving service, diaconia. Then Frederick Sutan Malu Panggabean invited M.T. Lumbanjale to establish a church in Dolok Merangia, and the Naga Dolok Church was established. Then Frederick Sutan Malu Panggabean became the Voorzitter Hoofdbestuur, or First Ephorus of Huria Christian Batak, and M.T. Lumbanjale became the Algemeen Secretary, or First Secretary General of Huria Christian Batak. The welcome of the Batak Christian community at that time to Huria Christians Batak in Pematang Siantar and its surroundings was extraordinary. In a relatively short period of time, 3 years, namely in the 1927 to 1930 period, there were 5 congregations with 220 heads of families, and in the 1931 to 1933 period, the number increased to 47 congregations, and in the 1933 to 1935 period, the number had reached more than 170 congregations. From Pematang Siantar and its surroundings, in the period 1931 to 1942, the Huria Christians Batak Church had spread to Deli Serdang, Tapanuli, in the areas of Humbang, Sipahutar, Pangaribuan, Silindung around it, Patane Porsea, or Toba Holbung around it, South Tapanuli, Central Tapanuli, Sidikalang, or Dairi around it, Tanah Alas and its surroundings. As mentioned above, the movement for church independence did not only occur in Pematang Siantar and its surroundings, but also in Medan. Thus, on 5 August 1928, 123 members of the RMG congregation established a new congregation in Medan called Joeria Christians Batak Medan Parjolo, Joeria Christians Batak Medan Satu. As a church that needs to get legality or recognition from the Dutch East Indies government, and in order to serve the sacrament, Frederick Sultan Malu Pangabean as Voorzitter, Hoofdbestuur, or Ephorus Joeria Christians Batak, and MT Lumban Jail as Algemeen Secretary, or Secretary-General of Joeria Christians Batak, asked the Dutch East Indies government to give recognition as well as permission to serve church duties. After going through various challenges and obstacles, finally, on 27th May 1933, Rect Person number 29 was granted, and Joeria Christians Batak was recognized as a legal vereniging, and on the 6th of July 1933, with Besluit number 17, permission to minister the sacraments was also granted by the Dutch East Indies government. Realizing the importance of ministers to serve the sacraments, in 1933, Voorzitter Frederick Sultan Malu Pangabean was ordained as a priest, along with the spirit of church independence and awareness of the expansion of the church's mission, and the awareness that Joeria Christian Bataks is not only to be in the land of Batak and driven by the spirit of gratitude for the independence of the Republic of Indonesia based on Pancasila. Then at the Synod on 16th to 17th November 1946, the name HCHB, Joeria Christian Batak, was expanded to Joeria Kristen Indonesia. In this synod also elected Voorzitter, new chairman, and elected Reverend T.J. Sitorus as Ephorus and Gar Togar Hasibuan as General Secretary. Rev. T.J. Sitorus was successively Ephorus for a period of 32 years, with a change of General Secretary during that period. However, for 40 years, Joeria Kristen Indonesia was not accepted to join ecumenical bodies in Indonesia and internationally. All theological colleges in Indonesia were closed to the Joeria Kristen Indonesia. With its limited capabilities, Joeria Kristen Indonesia educated its ministers, pastors, church teachers, biblical teachers, and evangelicals for 40 years. Joeria Kristen Indonesia also did not receive any help from domestic and foreign churches. The Joeria Kristen Indonesia is completely independent in power, funds, and theology. It was only on 29th October 1967 in Makassar that Joeria Kristen Indonesia was accepted as a member of the Indonesian Council of Churches, DGI, now called PGI, at the General Assembly of that institution. It was also registered as a member of the Council of Churches in Asia, CCA, in 1968, and was ratified as a member of the Lutheran Churches, LWF, in 1970, and a member of the World Council of Churches, WCC, in 1975. The UEM, and has a good relationship with the churches in Indonesia as well as with churches in Indonesia, with churches abroad, for example, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, LCA, in the United States, the Lutheran Church in Australia, LCA, the Rhineland and Westphalia churches in Germany, and in particular has a partnership relationship with KK Ham Germany. With the increase in these ministry partners, and together support the ministry program, both in each denomination of each church and ecumenical in particular, in increasing servant resources and other resources that support the mission of church services. For example, material support. For the construction of the Joeria Kristen Indonesia Head Office, the Huria Kristen Indonesia Multipurpose Building, the Zafat Orphanage, agricultural land, and so on. Of course, the partnership and participation of Huria Kristen Indonesia in ecumenical institutions and partnerships owned by Huria Kristen Indonesia requires an equal relationship. Huria Kristen Indonesia remains active in ecumenical activities and partnerships such as the publication of Martin Luther's Catechism, the Augsburg Confession, the Concord Dictionary, and so on. Huria Kristen Indonesia also sends its servants to serve in ecumenical institutions such as Komite Nasional Lutheran World Federation, KNLWF, Persekutuan Gereja-Gereja Indonesia Headquartered, Kirchenkreis Hamm Germany, United Evangelical Mission, UEM, and Persekutuan Gereja-Gereja Indonesia in the regions. Until now, the Huria Kristen Indonesia Church continues to grow in its hope in Christ and carry out its mission to carry out the Great Commission it received from the Lord Jesus Christ. In the course of its ministry, Huria Kristen Indonesia has experienced 10 changes of Ephesus and 12 changes of General Secretary. Currently, Huria Kristen Indonesia is led by Rev Firman Sibarani, MTH as Ephesus, and Rev Hotman Hutasoit, MTH as General Secretary. Now, Huria Kristen Indonesia has served as many as 14 service and zending areas consisting of 208 resorts, 7 preparatory resorts, 812 congregations, and 26 preparatory congregations, 39 gospel preaching posts with a total of 44,713 households and 200,893 people. Huria Kristen Indonesia has a vision of bigging to greaten the name of God. This vision is actualized into a real program that consists of 4 major parts, namely 1. Evangelism building and development. 2. Servant development and resource development. 3. Construction and development of ministry facilities and infrastructure. 4. Congregation building and development. 5. Construction and development of economic business units. This evangelism development program has several important parts, namely 1. Establishing and managing the Bureau of Evangelism. 2. Building a missional congregation. 3. Preparing and sending missionaries to the ends of the earth. Indonesia, South Korea, Netherlands, Japan, Germany, etc. 4. Establishing evangelism training centers. 5th. Building partnerships with churches and mission organizations at home and abroad. Huria Kristen Indonesia also continues to build equal partnerships to fulfill its duties. Currently, HKI partners with Onuri Church, South Korea, Grace and Mercy, Gabata Program, CGN Indonesia, as well as with agencies and foundations such as Batraku, PIC, APIIS, UHKBPN, then establish new partnerships with certain universities, UKSW, with certain churches, GKI, in the areas of service needed. Huria Kristen Indonesia in service also strives to be adaptive to the times, especially digitalization and information technology. Currently, Huria Kristen Indonesia is conducting data collection of congregation members with a digital system and managing digital content to optimize evangelistic missions, as well as making digital applications needed to support services at the head office. Information and digital technology is also very helpful for Huria Kristen Indonesia to advance education in existing and future Huria Kristen Indonesia universities. Huria Kristen Indonesia, since it was still named Huria Christian Batax, HCHB, has been engaged in education by establishing schools such as kindergarten, early childhood education, elementary school, junior high school, and senior high school. Many schools in various places were established and managed by congregations or resorts. some schools had progressed in the quality and quantity of students. But currently, the schools owned and managed by Huria Kristen Indonesia are very few and very behind in all respects and are threatened with closure. Improving the quality and quantity of schools that still exist is certainly our duty and responsibility together. For this reason, our head office through the Diakonia Department made the Perguruan HKI Satu Management Program. Everything related to the planning, establishment management of the One Management College is being done by the Executive Secretary for the HKY Institute and College. We will build, manage, and develop it into a good and excellent school. In addition, Huria Kristen Indonesia is also intense in serving inland tribes that have not been touched by the gospel. Currently, Huria Kristen Indonesia serves on Rupat Island, namely the Akit tribe, by placing pastors to serve them there. The Akit tribe is a tribe that can be said to be still left behind. Education and health facilities are very minimal there. Zending is in need of evangelists and educators. Our evangelist there is still one pastor. We also need a church building, official residence, study room, library, health service room. We already have a land measuring 25 meters by 50 meters on the edge of the village road. The existing service post is still hitchhiking. We have set the concept of mission to Rupat Island. Therefore, Huria Kristen Indonesia is trying to help the Akit people to learn to read and plans to build a church there, as well as health facilities. Huria Kristen Indonesia also continues to strive to develop its services by maximizing all existing potential. Currently, Huria Kristen Indonesia is developing its tourism-based services under the name Juma Narumata. The concept implemented is called Bersinar, which is clean, elegant, or tidy, healthy, beautiful, comfortable, asri, and friendly. Currently, Huria Kristen Indonesia is trying to develop agro-tourism and retreat house located in Nogorejo, Galang, Deli Serdang, which has an area of 2 hectares. There are several things needed for this agro-tourism and retreat house: Huria Kristen Indonesia Museum and Eco House, located at Huria Kristen Indonesia head office. This museum will provide various documents and history of the early establishment of Huria Kristen Indonesia and the figures of Huria Kristen Indonesia. In the Eco House, Huria Kristen Indonesia will present and sell various organic livestock and agricultural products. At the Huria Kristen Indonesia Community Development Center and Vocational Training Center, work is being done on planting various plants that are useful as organic food and medicine. There are still several projects developed by Huria Kristen Indonesia as a forum for developing its services, among others: 1. Rest Area and Mart Nusantara, Huria Kristen Indonesia. 2. Lake Papande Tourism. 3. Huria Kristen Indonesia Retreat Center. 4. Huria Kristen Indonesia Sipaholan Panorama. 5. Memorial Martyr Munson, Lyman. 6. Sea Tourism Labuhan Angin. 7. Mursala Island Sea Tourism. For social services in the health sector, Huria Kristen Indonesia is also working on the construction of the Sion Clinic and the ongoing construction of the new head office, Pastori, Housing, Head of Department. In completing the facilities and infrastructure of its services as mentioned above, Huria Kristen Indonesia requires a lot of attention and funds. Huria Kristen Indonesia has also set a master plan for 25 years, starting from 2003 to 2028, which contains strategic programs to welcome Huria Kristen Indonesia 100 years, with the motto of the progressive Huria Kristen Indonesia. By continuing to rush in every service program,